Well, hello, and welcome back to that thing we like to call Curless Mania, where we talk all things pop, rock, and prog. Hope everyone's doing well. Today, I am delving into this discography of Mr. George Harrison. Kind of was jonesing to do some Beatles content. I love the Beatles. I'm a Beatles fanatic, but I don't do a lot of Beatles content because it's covered very well on the internet and on YouTube. There's many channels that I enjoy and I watch a lot. People like Pop Goes the 60s, Matt Williamson, Mean Mr. Mayo, John Heaton. There's many that cover the Beatles very well. But I like to get my opinion in once in a while, throw my hat in the ring, per se. So today I felt like I would tackle George Harrison. I've been listening to his discography quite a bit this week. And I already know this stuff backwards. This is kind of a softball episode, if I'm really honest. I grew up with this music. So I'm not going to count Wonderwall music, which is a soundtrack from, I believe, 1968. Some pretty cool music on this, but it's a soundtrack. And it's there's no lyrics, there's no vocals. So, and then electronic sound obviously is another one that I'm not going to count. That is George messing around on a Moog synthesizer. Not counting that. So these are the proper solo records, and I'm going to count 10 of them. And I'm going to start number 10 with Extra Texture, Read All About It from 1975. This is my original copy that I got for $4, as you can see, back when vinyl was actually cheap. Nobody wanted it. Everyone was buying CDs. So I have to say that this is my original copy with no cutout. And then recently I found this at a record store with the cutout in great shape. So I grabbed that immediately, right off the shelf. I'll take it. I really wanted the copy with the cutout. And I believe on the inside it says, "Oh, not him again." So this is George's soul record, I guess. It's also sniffs of contractual obligation. He wanted to get off his EMI Apple contract, and this was the last album, and he was in a hurry to start his Dark Horse label. So he really wanted to get out of that contract. So this feels a little bit rushed, possibly thrown together a little bit. It was recorded in Los Angeles with session musicians, except for You. You is the exception. That was the backing track is, I believe, from 1971 or 1970, right after either during the All Things Must Pass or right after. He recorded a track for Ronnie Spector, and this was the song he was going to give to Ronnie. And you can tell his vocals are sped up a little bit. I think he couldn't hit the high notes. But I love You is a great track. It opens up really well with that song, and then it kind of gets into this. I mean, there's a couple tracks on here. This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying is pretty cool. Answers at the End's not bad. Can't Stop Thinking About You. I mean, it's not bad. It's essentially George trying to be Smokey Robinson, and it's like I said, it's not recorded in Friar Park or in Abbey Road, or it's just this nameless studio in Los Angeles with a bunch of faceless session musicians. And I shouldn't say faceless. There's actually some pretty famous people on here, but it's just not it's not my favorite. Whenever I think of George, I don't ever reach for this record. It's extremely, I don't know what's the word. It's just very mellow and very. He sounds kind of down on this album. He sounds like he's almost in like this depressed mood when you're listening to it, and just the song titles give it away. And then he does this little joke at the end. His name is Legs, which nobody understood. It's an inside joke. So anyway, that's it. So that's number 10, Extra Texture. Not bad, but I never really reach for it when I'm thinking about listening to George. Number 9, Somewhere in England from 1981. This album's a bit disjointed because he handed it into the record company, and they said, meh, we don't really like this. This is not of the time. This is too mellow. We need some upbeat tracks for radio. I don't hear anything that's going to play on the radio at this point. And again, this was the 80s. Things were changing musically, and I don't think George had any intent of changing. He did what he did. And the original, I actually have the original record on bootleg. It's off the original cover. And this has all the songs that were kicked off the album, and which Flying Hour, that's a great track. Lay His Head, very good. Sat Singing is great. I mean, this album should have been released. They shouldn't have really messed with his original album, in my opinion, because the songs that came on, Blood from a Clone, don't like that. He's basically bitching about the record company messing with his album, which is understandable, but it's not a great track. Teardrops is obviously another attempt to be upbeat, poppy, and it's okay. Life Itself is the gem on here that people forget about. that song. Life Itself is excellent. What a great melody, great guitar playing, great riff, excellent harmonies, great lyric. I love everything about it. I think Life Itself is a great George Harrison song. So that song alone almost saves this album. All those years ago, obviously, was the hit from the album, his song about John Lennon, who had recently been murdered in New York City, unfortunately. And he recorded that record. Paul McCartney, Linda McCartney, and Denny Lane are on that track. I don't know if they play instruments, but I know they sing on it. I believe that's the case. So, and that's a good single. So yeah, but it's got 2 Hoagie Carmichael covers on it. Writings on the Wall's not bad. Save the World's decent. I don't know. It just doesn't do much for me when I listen to it. It sounds a bit disjointed. He was forced to change the album, and it just comes off that way. You can feel it when you're listening to it. So that's number 9, Somewhere in England. Okay, number 8 is Gone Troppo from 1982. This album, what do I say about this record? It got terrible reviews when it came out. Everybody said, "Oh, he's just a movie producer now, and he's barely concentrating on his music. He's just phoning it in on this album. He's barely, he's just not. He's way out of step with what's going on." Some of this was fair criticism. Some of it was true. He didn't really care that much anymore about competing in the marketplace at this time. And it shows on this record. So he made it at home. But there is that to be, it's produced by me, Ray, and Phil. I think the production could have been better. And the artwork's a little strange. I mean, this picture is from 1974, so it's a little odd. The whole I don't know, the whole artwork is, and it's a little odd for George. It's a little strange. But Wake Up My Love is okay. That's the Way It Goes is excellent. There are some excellent songs on here. I really Love You's cool. There's some great guitar playing on this too. If you like George's guitar playing, I forgot how much tasty playing is on this record. Mystical One is a cool track. Baby Don't Run Away is okay. Dream Away. Circles is from 1968. That was a cast off from the White Album. Not bad, but it's better than I remember. When I listen to it now, I always think, oh, Gone Troppo kind of sucks. But when you listen to it now, you go, oh, it doesn't suck. It's got some moments on it for sure. If you're a George fan, you're going to enjoy a lot of this record. But it definitely, there's something about it that's a little lacking. So it's at number 8. Okay, number 7, Dark Horse from 1974. This album gets a bad rap. A lot of people call it Dark Horse, Hoarse, like horse, because he was not singing very well making this record. He was pulling himself in so many different directions by this time in his life. He divorced Patty. He did an album with Splinter. He did an album with Ravi Shankar. He was producing and playing on both of those. I think he was trying to keep himself busy to distract him from his kind of personal life problems. That's my take on it. I don't know for sure, but I think that's might be what he was doing. And he made this record very quickly because he had planned a tour. That was another thing he was going to do, which is very unlike George, to book a North American tour. People were shocked. I couldn't believe it. It was the first big tour that a Beatle had done since the Beatles had broken up. And so everyone was all excited about it. And at the press conference, they would pelt him with Beatles questions, which he did not enjoy. So this album was rushed to get done for the tour. And he was not in great vocal shape, but he pressed on anyway. And so things like the title track, Dark Horse, his vocal, I wish he had cut that song with a better vocal, because I think it's a great song. I really do. And I do think there's some really good material on this record. And this album, this is sort of like a what could have been record, where could be so much better if he was in better shape, this album, because the material's pretty good. I mean, I like Far East Man quite a bit. He co-wrote that with Ron Wood. Simply Shady's a great song. So Sad is very cool. I love the slide guitar on So Sad. My Love's pretty cool. Dark Horse is a great track. So yeah, and then the Higher He's on tour is with the LA Express, who he invited back to his house after a Joni Mitchell concert, and they just jammed, and that's a cool jam. I like that song. So this is an album of what could have been, in my opinion. It just, but it talks. I mean, Bye Bye Love is not a great track. It's a cover of and it's kind of like, maybe that should have stayed on the shelf. But it's kind of talking about directly head on the Eric Clapton, Pat and his wife thing. Just right hits it right on the head. He even said in his when he was doing press for the tour, that this album was like Peyton Place. He's kind of airing his dirty laundry on this record a little bit, which also makes it sort of fascinating. I'm not going to lie. So that's Dark Horse at number 7. I do revisit this album quite a bit. So, okay. Number 6 is the self-titled George Harrison from 1979. This is where things start to get really good from here on out. This album's strong. This is he really came back focused in 1979. And I think that the producer, Russ Tittleman, I think is Tittleman, I'm not sure how you say that, helped him to focus on this album. And he turns in a very strong set of songs. I love Comes to Everyone. Great. With Steve Winwood on there. So good. Not Guilty is another cast off from the Beatles from 1968. Obviously, it's on the anthology. In more electric form, this is more acoustic, and this works too. Both versions work. Here Comes the Moon. Cool. What a cool track that is. Here comes the moon, a moon, a moon, a moon. Soft-Hearted Hannah's a cool track. Blow Away. It's a great track. Great song. Great melody. Blow Away is one of his stronger songs in his catalog, in my opinion. It's so good. Dark Sweet Lady, Your Love Is Forever, Soft Touch. I mean, these are all, there's a lot of there are some sort of torch songs on here that's a little slower, but if you're in the right mood for this album, and it's sort of a summary album, if you're in a good mood, and just, it'll hit you perfectly if you're in that right mood. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely a bit more laid back, and the production is very, very controlled, very reined in. But it's a good record. It's a very strong set of songs. So George Harrison from 1979. Number 5, 33 1/3 from 1976. This was hailed as sort of a comeback when it came out. After Extra Texture, I think was not. I mean, Dark Horse and Extra Texture were not critically evaluated very well at all. This one came out and people gave it good reviews. And I got to point this out again. $2 per Princeton Record Exchange in New Jersey. $2. Still have my $2 version of this, and it's in great shape. Sounds great. Played it recently. It sounds really good. So this album was a little bit of a comeback, and he sounded alive and excited and happy again. He had met Olivia Arias, and they were a thing, and I think he was much happier in his domestic life, and it came out on this album. And he also dug some other older songs out and revisited. Beautiful Girl, I believe, was from All Things Must Pass sessions, and I love that song so much. Beautiful Girl's great. Woman Don't You Cry For Me is also from All Things Must Pass sessions. Dear One, great. Sort of has that Eastern vibe a little bit. Love that. This song is a great parody of his My Sweet Lord case, where he got sued and lost because it sounded too much like He's So Fine. But it's a great parody. It's a really upbeat, sort of funny look at that situation. See Yourself is a great way to end side one. It's What You Value starts out side two really strong. Pure Smoky. Crackerbox Palace is another upbeat, great song. I mean, this album is very bouncy and upbeat. And Learning How to Love You is such a beautiful melody. A great way to end the record. So this album is very strong. And it's very upbeat, and I love that about it. The only quibble I have on this record is that sort of wailing sax that was really popular with everybody at the time. It was like that Saturday Night Live wailing sax thing where you let a sax player just go to town. I don't love that. I don't mind saxophone if it's done right, but wailing sax over everything else, it just gets old quick. And there's a little bit of that on here, and John Lennon did a little bit of that too. Anyway, it was popular. So, number 4 is Cloud 9 from 1987. And this one, I'll admit, is sort of this is sort of a nostalgic personal favorite because I remember when this album came out and we were excited. Everybody was excited. He hadn't put out an album in a long time, and suddenly he was back, and it was produced by Jeff Lynne. And suddenly he had a hit with Got My Mind Set on You. It was all over MTV. I heard it on the radio. But that song, that's one of those I don't care if I never hear it again. It got overplayed, and it's already repetitive. So, but the rest of this album, I love. I think Jeff Lynne was the perfect person to produce George. He brought the best out of him. And there's certain songs that really hit me. And still, when I listen to this album, it just pops, where This Is Love. Love that track. It's just great pop music. This is love. If that's what it takes. Oh, so good. And Jeff Lynne you can hear him. He's got his fingerprints all over these tracks. Fish in the Sand. Just for Today is a slow torch ballad. Really good. I said, This Is Love. I love that. Devil's Radio is a great upbeat. You can hear Elton John playing piano on that. Love that. Wreck of the Hesperus is kind of a humorous take on aging. Breath Away from Heaven was a song for Shanghai Surprise, I believe. So yeah, this is a strong album. I think that Jeff Lynne was a perfect person to produce him. They got along really well. Jeff had great ideas. Oh, of course, I didn't mention When We Was Fab. That's incredible. And you can hear that Jeff Lynne's in Beatle heaven doing this whole pastiche of sort of I Am the Walrus type stuff, or Sgt. Pepper. I mean, he's just having fun, and George is too. And so it's really nice to hear George in a great mood, upbeat, doing upbeat material. And I think it comes through on this record, and it's a joy to listen to. So Cloud 9 is at number 4. Okay, number 3, Brainwashed from 2002. What an amazing album for a posthumous record. I wasn't expecting anything when this came out. I thought, we'll see if it's any good. And wow, it's not just good, it's great. He had some songs that he had been working on for years, and this might be, who knows? I don't know. This may have been the best of the bunch because this is a very strong album. And George, he got sick and he couldn't finish it, but I think he had done a lot of work. He had done a lot of work on this album, and it just hadn't been mixed. There were certain things that needed to be finished and mixed, but he did all the lead vocals. So a lot of work had gone into this before he passed away, and he told Jeff Lynne and his son, he said, just don't go crazy with this. Don't make them too posh, was his word, which I think he meant don't overproduce it. Just keep it pretty raw and pretty direct. And they did that. You can tell that Jeff's holding back a little bit. He's not doing his usual Jeff Lynne production. And it works really, really well on this record. There's something very pure about this album. And you can hear George come through on every track very strong and very clear, and it makes you feel good. There's something about it. Like, I know he passed away, but they gave us this as sort of a parting gift, and this is like the best parting gift ever. I love this album's, I mean, Any Road is fantastic. Pisces Fish, I love. Looking for My Life, another banger. Rising Sun, amazing. Marwa Blues, the first side is unbelievable. Marwa Blues is a beautiful instrumental. So the first side is unbelievable. Stuck Inside a Cloud, great way to start side 2. Run So Far is the song that Clapton did on Journeyman. And this is George's version of it. Between the Devil and Deep Blue Sea is a great, it sounds live. It sounds like a live band playing in a room, which is great. And George is playing his ukulele. Love it. Rockin' Chair in Hawaii, Brainwashed. I mean, it's a very, very strong record. I come back to this quite often. It's one of my favorites. So Brainwashed is at number 3. Okay, number 2 is Living in the Material World from 1973. This was the follow-up to the triple album All Things Must Pass. Well, I mean, Bangladesh had come out, but this was the studio follow-up to that. So it's going to be tough to go up against that record, but this album has stood the test of time, in my opinion. I always say it's almost like All Things Must Pass without Phil Spector. I mean, Phil Spector was there. He was there, but I don't think he did that much work on this album. I really don't. I think he was having substance abuse problems at this point in his life. And he backed out. I think he was there for a little bit of it, but he wasn't there for much. I think it was mostly produced by George. And this album was recorded in London. This was sort of the last London production that he did. After that, he had a studio in his house, and he would just record at his house. To varying degrees of quality. So I think this album is very strong. This is George's. If you like George's guitar playing, this is the album. You got to put this on and crank it up, because there's no Eric Clapton on this record. Let's put it that way. He's all over. He's actually all over Cloud 9, which I forgot to mention, and he's all over All Things Must Pass. But this album is all George, and George does a fantastic job. It has to be said. And so, I mean, Give Me Love, great single. Give Me Love is still one of my favorite George Harrison tracks. Sue Me, Sue You Blues is a funny look at all the court case with the Beatles. Light That's Lighted the World. And there's a lot of talk about him being an ex-Beatle on this record, and how he's trying to shed his Beatle past and the problems that the Beatles had. And there's a lot of commentary on that if you listen closely. Don't Let Me Wait Too Long is it sounds like ELO. So not surprising that Jeff Lynne worked with him later. Who Can See It is... Living in the Material World is an upbeat track, and it kind of has this weird Las Vegas ending. I love that. But it also has like an Indian section in the middle, so it's a very interesting track. The Lord Loves the One that loves the Lord, and the Lord says, if you don't give, then you don't get nothing. I love that track. It's so good. Be Here Now is a beautiful meditative track. The Day the World Gets Round, another absolutely beautiful. I keep using the word beautiful. It's just this album. That's what it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeously recorded, gorgeously played. It's flawless as far as that's concerned. And that is all ends it. And it's just very meditative and very spiritual. Some people said it was a little preachy, but I can deal with that when it comes to George. I think a lot of times he was preaching to himself, and there he is at Friar Park, joking around, having looks, I don't know, just trying to recreate the Last Supper or something as a joke. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening there, but anyway, but cool picture. But yeah, no, it's And I love the idea of, spirituality versus materialism. That's a lot of what he talks about on this album too, that was part of his problems, right? He was a rich guy, rich rock star, but he was trying to be spiritual too. And that was a hard battle. They're constantly going back and forth. They used to say about George, does he have his hand in the prayer beads, or the Coke bag? Every once in a while he would go off the rails, and I mean, he's human. He would have days where he would go off the rails and party, and that's, everyone does that on occasion, right? It's not just George Harrison, but he more than most, he was a very famous rich rock star. Temptations were all over the place. It was way too easy for him to fall off the wagon. But anyway, love that record. Living in the Material World, number 2, very strong album. Okay, pretty predictable, right? Number 1, All Things Must Pass, but it's undeniable. This album, oh, look, $12. I like $12. Still in great shape. I mean, yeah, the cover's a little beat up, but when I put this vinyl on, it sounds fantastic. So, and I still listen to it quite often. Wearing the grooves out of this one. But, man, this album has been with me my whole life, and I love this album so much. I still love it. It's so close to my heart. It's so good. It is so amazing. It's years and years and years of songs built up. And he just said, well, screw it. I'm just going to record them all. And that's kind of what he ended up doing. He recorded all of them and didn't leave anything on the cutting room floor. And even put in a bonus disc of jams called Apple Jams, which I don't listen to that often, but it's an interesting curio. And to him, it was a throw-in. It was an extra. So, Beware of Darkness, All Things Must Pass, Apple Scruffs, Awaiting on You All. I mean, the 2 co-writes with Dylan, I'd Have You Anytime. What's the other one? What's the other one? If Not For You. What Is Life? I mean, I don't know what to say about this record. It's been talked about a lot. I don't know what else to say. It's an amazing album. Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp, Let It Roll. I dig love. Do, 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 do. I dig love. That might be like, a lot of people say that's the weakest track on here, but I still find it fun. I love it. You can hear those Ringos playing the drums. You can hear those Ringo fills. I love it. And it may be a little bit of a throwaway, but I like it. Art of Dying, Hear Me Lord is a great way to end the record. I mean, I kind of look at this as a double album, essentially. The Apple Jams is a throw-in, an extra. It's almost like a bonus tracks. I really see this as a double record that's just super, super strong. Wah Wah is about Paul McCartney and his, how he was annoyed with Paul. There's a lot of stuff about the Beatles on this album too, as well, of course. Isn't It a Pity? It's kind of about the Beatles breaking up. It's, My Sweet Lord obviously was a huge hit. Huge screaming hit, and it sold this record. And then it got him, as we talked about it, he got sued over it. But it was a huge hit for him. And just the amazing, I mean, Phil Spector helps him produce it, obviously. And he's got a I mean, everything it was like lightning in a bottle for this record, right? Lightning in a bottle, where he was very, very focused. He wanted to make a great record. He had a great producer. He was in a great studio, and he had this all-star cast. Ringo Starr, Jim Gordon, Alan White on drums, Klaus Vormann, Carl Radel. Derek and the Dominoes were essentially backing him on a lot of this. Bobby Whitlock on Billy Preston on keyboards. Pete Drake on steel on pedal steel, which he does an amazing job. And Peter Frampton was on these sessions, and he showed Peter Frampton the talk box on these sessions. So musical history was made by Peter Frampton sitting there listening to Pete Drake do the talk box thing. Next thing you know, Frampton Comes Alive. Do You Feel Like We Do? Anyway, Dave Mason's on here, Bobby Keys. I mean, come on. It's Badfingers on this, strumming acoustic guitars. Everybody was on this album. And it works so amazingly well. It's impossible for this not to be number one. And it's interesting. It kind of makes me think about doing another episode of albums that first album equals best album. So the first album is still their best. And there's a couple of bands I can think of right off the top of my head where their first album's their best album and they never topped it. There's something about everything was perfect, everything lightning in a bottle. The energy was there, the lineup was there, the recording was there, everything happened perfectly on that first album. All the songs were perfect. Boom, they never topped it. First, everything changes, right? So after that first record. So that's a good, I'm thinking about that might be my next episode is first album, best album. So that's the ranking. There you go. That's 10 studio records from George Harrison. I love George to death. I guess I'll show a couple of early takes. Volume 1 is a cool album. This is him demoing All Things Must Pass songs for Phil Spector. And this is the soundtrack, I guess, to the Martin Scorsese documentary. Yeah, really good. I'm glad I own it. And then, of course, the Bangladesh soundtrack record, which is essential. This is him doing a charity concert at Madison Square Garden with an all-star cast, of course. So really, really good. Worth your time picking up. I didn't conclude live albums in the ranking, but that's an essential. So yeah, that's it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about George Harrison. What are your favorites? Do you think that my list is crazy? I'm sure I'm going to get some comments that how crazy my list is. But and again, I know it's predictable to have All Things Must Pass as number one, but it's pretty hard not to have that as the best. But there's a lot of other great music in George's catalog that I listen to quite often. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Of course, as always, I read all the comments, so let me know. Please hit like and subscribe if you like what you see. It really helps the channel, so I appreciate that. If you would do that for me, that would be great. And that's it. We'll see you next time on Curless Mania. Take care.